Hello, my name's Pauline Rooney, and for the last 4 years I have been the site director here at Diageo in Kilmarnock. As it stands, I will be the last site director at Kilmarnock, as back in 2009 Diageo announced that this site would close in spring 2012 as part of a wider Scotch whisky investment programme in Scotland. This site has a rich history. It was opened in 1956 by the then chairman of John Walker & Sons Limited, a Mr. L.A. Elgood, and the theme of his opening address was, "Thank you, Johnnie Walker." The site was viewed then as a flagship of leading-edge technology that would support the future growth of the Johnnie Walker brand. The people who worked here never wavered in that commitment. "2012 will see the end of an era for Hill Street in Kilmarnock, and I hope this short film will give you an insight into the people who worked here over the years and the pride in the Johnnie Walker brand and their site. Coming full circle from 1956, I just want to say thank you, Hill Street.
As far back as I can remember, this was always the place. Johnnie Walker's was the elite in Kilmarnock.
We've had great laughs in here. I mean, we could tell you hundreds of stories.
I can honestly say it's the best job I've ever had, and I've had a lot of jobs.
It's like a family in a lot of ways, you know.
This is where everybody in Kilmarnock works, because it was so full of people. The town seemed to be empty compared to in here.
I think we've all met loads of friends through the work.
Friends for life.
Friends for life.
Provided such a lot of employment. It's a source of pride really for people in Kilmarnock.
I love coming to my work. It wasn't like actually coming to your place of work, because you had great friends. It was like an extended family, and it was just like coming to be with your pals every day.
It's been a really nice place to work. Phenomenal amount of really good people here, and that's one of the things I'll miss the most.
I started here about 10 years ago, and I think one of the reasons why the site here is so important to Kilmarnock is it's just such a big part of the local community. So there is no doubt, the minute that I drove down here the first day that I started work, the thing that really hit me was the fact that this really is the heart of Kilmarnock.
Johnnie Walker's was Kilmarnock. I mean, that was Kilmarnock. Everywhere you went was associated. I mean, as I say, when you go to America, it doesn't matter where you go. The minute you mention Johnnie Walker, oh, Kilmarnock. It wasn't Kilmarnock with Johnnie Walker, it was always Johnnie Walker was Kilmarnock. So it's massive. It means everything to Kilmarnock.
It's a bit special, the Johnnie Walker brand, especially working here in Kilmarnock.
And the harmony that was here in Hill Street, you couldn't buy it. It was one big happy family.
It's the people that make it a special place, every single person in it.
It's been my whole life. I've spent more time here than I've spent anywhere else. It was my first job, and that's why I've chosen to stay with the company. I love working for this company. It's given me a lot of good memories, and I want to continue those memories, so I'm choosing to move to Leven.
Having been here for something like 40 years, I fondly remember all the friends over the 40 years, great colleagues, great friendships and whatnot.
A lot of really community in here, and that's the big thing about Kilmarnock, it is a community. Anybody that comes in here notice that. There's pride, there's a lot of pride in the work. The operators have still pride, still have the pride. Their assets, their line equipment is absolutely spotless. The lines are running really well, even though we're going through a closure situation, and the pride is there with everybody.
You could maybe do your Eric Morecambe.
Got wrong glasses on. You're called Eric Morecambe, I don't know why. That's his nickname. Every night out, Craig does that.
I've thoroughly enjoyed my working life here. I can't believe it's 42 years. When I look back, it's unbelievable. But I'll always look back on time here, fond memories.
It's hard to put it into words. It's been a superb time. Great people work for this company, great managers. The experience and the strength it's given me to move on to leaving, I'll never forget. Just the same, I'll never forget all the people I've worked with, the new friendships that I'm going to form. I think walking out that gate next week for the last time will be the hardest thing I will ever have to do, ever. However, I'm a great believer where one door closes, another door opens. And I'm sure through time, people that are worried about the site closing, it'll all come good for them. Things are meant to be, things happen for a reason. Times move on, things change. And through time, it will be for the better. And things will pick up again.
People that I'm friendly with now, I'd never have met if I hadn't worked in here. And some of them will be lifelong friends.
Mate, probably some of my best friends I've ever met. I think they're going to be lifelong friends. But I've had some rough times in here, but the good times outweigh the rough times 10 to 1. So I'll leave here with no malice, no hatred. I'll leave here with really good memories, and I think that'll be the thing I'll sell to people outside. Yeah, we're shut in Kilmarnock, but the people and the company, I think we'll just go from strength to strength, but still sad to see it leaving Kilmarnock.
Although it's not the most positive situation, it's actually been a really positive year because of the people that I've met, the friends that I've made.
Once place closes, I'll probably be here about 37 years or something like that. And it's a long, long time. And I suppose deep down I probably have more affinity with the plant than actually the Diageo name, because I've been here so long, and I know it's part of Diageo. But I struggle to imagine Diageo being without Kilmarnock. I really struggle to get my head around that. It wouldn't be here. That's probably my biggest struggle. But like everybody said, I think the people that we've been working with over the years is absolutely tremendous. Never forget them. And when I walk out for the last time, I'll definitely be sad. I think I'll be proud. And in some ways I think it'll have been a privilege to actually have been here for 37 years. That can you take away?
You know, I certainly remember my times extremely fondly through here, the site and the individuals, and wish everybody, whatever they do in the future, whatever they may do, sincerely the very, very best of luck.
But I think everyone from the site can feel very proud that they have been part of making the brand such a huge success.
My lasting memories are definitely the people. People here, as Alison said earlier, just been so helpful, so friendly, and they've been great to work with. I feel really, really lucky and privileged to have worked with all the people that have been here. As if you're struggling, there's always folk that will jump to your aid and help get you out of any position you're in. So it'll be very much the people. Although obviously Johnnie Walker line, definitely, and there's a lot of the site I will miss, but my last memory will be definitely the people.
I wouldn't have the lifestyle I've got if it wasn't for Johnnie Walker's. And that's just it. I wouldn't have what I've got if it wasn't for Johnnie Walker's.
Gave me a great quality of life and my family. I've enjoyed my time in here. I've enjoyed the friendships that I've had with it as well. Again, the company's been good for me, the packages and all that you get, your shares, everything else. There's no many more companies will do as much as what Diageo has done for us. We've had our ups and downs, we've had our words with certain people, but you've just got to get up and go over it. Again, going out the gate, it's going to be a sad day, but at the end of the day, the company has chose to go that way. They've chose to take it forward and move on, and we've just got to accept that. But it'll no stop me going into the duty free and checking to see if the labels are all right and the seals are on right.
My name is John Hall. I worked in Johnnie Walker's for 28.5 years, and I enjoyed every one of them.
Been here for 26 years. I remember being interviewed with the most gorgeous, handsome man, and that turned out to be Mr. John Patterson. It's a memory that always sticks with me.
I think we used to go down the street and you seen people walking about in the lovely white crisp overalls. You used to say I want a job in there.
I remember when I came here and I got taken around, and the site just seemed really, really big. You know, there was 800-900 people here at that time. So it was a big, big site, and you know, it was just a lot bigger than I expected, so I remember being a wee bit nervous about it.
That was your ambition to go in
here?
here?
I was always wanting to work in Johnnie Walker's, only because the girls in my street worked here, and obviously the stories, and we had the choice of the jobs though.
And it was a shock to my system, but you know, I thought I'd never last a year, but I've lasted 38, so something must have been all right. That must have been good. That made me stay.
It was scary because I just left the school on Friday and I was coming in and I hung my school uniform up on the Friday night and had my workwear on the Monday, so it was really, I was green as grass. I got in here and everybody was in their uniform, all the stuff out of Topshop and Mod, and I thought, God, I'm never going to fit in here. I was really out of my depth.
I remember being at the school, and at lunchtime we went down the street from school, and I used to always see the girls with their Walker's overalls on in the shops buying the best at everything, and I thought, I wish I could afford that. And then a couple of years after leaving school, I got a job in here, and here we are 33 years later, and I've had a ball.
Myself and Kenny do the same job, and Hughie is an asset care coordinator, but ex-team leader. Hughie's
Hughie's quite a few roles.
Quite a few roles.
They've not found one he's good at
No.
yet.
I think every role has its differences, but the first role is an engineer on the tools, with a boiler suit on. That was me happiest.
You used to see an influx of people coming down through the railway station, and they'd come out at the other end, and it would just be an army of white overalls, and you knew
nice and crisp.
You knew it'd be either stopping time or lunchtime, but it was quite a sight.
And it gave employment to about 2,000 people at that time. I mean, I'm going back to 1963.
When you look back, it's when you see the number of people that were actually employed. There was loads of people, loads and loads.
Every week somebody was starting.
And it wasn't just one, it was like batches, about
That's right.
10 that started.
I think when I started, it was about 12 of us started at the same time. But there was always people leaving because they were getting married and you didn't get staying on then.
When I started here, August 1972, there was approximately, I think, about 1,800 people employed in this site. And that was a one-shift operation at that time, just constant day shift.
People's attitude never really changed. They were always hugely willing to actually engage you in whatever it was you were doing.
That was always the feedback when you had visits to the site here.
Yeah.
You know, so if we used to have important members of the Diageo board or people from outside industry or MPs or anything, the comment they would always make afterwards was how happy people looked and actually how engaging the people here were.
Absolutely.
So I think, you know, we see that, but, you know, I think actually everybody who visits the site sees that as well. It doesn't matter whereabout you go in the world, whether you're on the top of a mountain, on the beach, anywhere in the world, you always see Johnnie Walker sitting there. And I think probably for all of us, that's a sense of huge pride, which is, you know, in some small way, you've been part of that story and part of producing that brand.
People always took a lot of pride in the fact that Johnnie Walker whisky was made in Kilmarnock. You know, you used to watch the TV and you'd see the Johnnie Walker bottle in the movies and stuff like that. I mean, I thought that was quite a big thing, and you still see it yet.
You're proud to be associated with it. I defy anybody to say they don't go to duty free and check out the brands, because I do it. I've spoken to people and everybody does it. You go straight in there, find the Johnnie Walker stand and check it out, and check out the quality and then check where it was bottled.
When you go to America and you get into the airport, it's the first thing you do. You look at the product.
And you check the labels.
You check the labels. And it's quite sad that you're standing in the middle of Los Angeles airport looking at a bottle of whiskey and going, that label's not right.
The case goods were piled up, not piled up, but stacked up. You could see all the destinations on the cases where the product was going. And that kind of gave me a wee bit of pride to think that someday a product that I'd maybe handled and worked in a machine to help produce it in a particular line was maybe going to be opened by a consumer in Israel or America or Japan or something like that.
When people ask you who you work for and you say Johnnie Walker, there's instant recognition, so people know who it is. That is like a massive brand, and you're kind of proud, I guess, to work for that great brand, and it's nice to be able to tell people that you work for it.
And the beauty is, no matter where you go in the world, you'll see a bottle of Johnnie Walker. And I don't know if everybody gets that in their workplace in whatever industry you work in, but certainly working in Johnnie Walker in Kilmarnock, you sit in a bar or even just a billboard poster in some capital city in Europe, and you just feel a wee bit of pride. And if anybody listens, you'll grab their ear and you'll tell them I work for that company. And if you look closely at a bottle of Black Label, it's actually got the Kilmarnock address on it with the postcode and everything. And I've pointed to that in the past as well and said, see that, Kilmarnock K1 HD or whatever it is, and that's where I work. So I don't know if everybody gets that in their work and gets that job satisfaction, but we kind of get that down here.
I always like to say, I work for Walkers, I work in Walkers. Aye, it's been a great company. It's given me a really good living.
Even when you go on holiday, Ken, and you see the brands maybe in your hotel bar.
Checking the labels, Ronnie.
We've always checked the labels, haven't we? Even in the duty free, you were always checking to see what was there.
And you maybe get to speak to people about the pool or that, and where do you go? Oh, and they're maybe Johnnie Walker. So even when you're away from Kilmarnock and a different country,
it's what's put Kilmarnock on the map.
And as Margaret says, you do feel a wee bit proud when you talk about it that way. Definitely.
Big signs about to show the friendship in this place is when what they call down here a lift goes round. Whether it's somebody's birthday, somebody's getting engaged, there's a baby born, even if somebody's just no well, the lifts that go round, the collections, you know, are incredible. In fact, I have to say I've moaned about it in the past because you've almost got to budget for about £30 a month in here. The charity sponsorship as well, it's incredible, and it goes above and beyond. You know, I mean, if anybody ever loses, unfortunately, one of their family or whatever, the flowers come from all different angles. Immediately, you know, cards are coming through the doors, and I've benefited for that myself personally.
And because it was a kind of family orientated thing as well, you've seen your family come up and out through it, so there's a lot of memories there as well.
This is my first role as a plant director. You come down here, you don't have a clue what you're meant to do. You know, quite nervous, not sure what's going to happen. Literally, I think within 2 minutes of walking into the bottling hall, I wouldn't say the job was easy, but you're made to feel at home and you're made to feel welcome. And that's right across the site.
Good people, and a lot of people dedicated to what they're doing as well.
Even new people coming in, strangers coming in, walking into the bottling hall or any of the other functional areas, people are very, very willing to engage you in eye contact, to have a chat with you. Just that there is that kind of sense of local community about the place.
And if you're having a rough day and you've had a bad day, I can always guarantee that somebody will phone me at night time and make sure I'm okay, which I think is testament to how we act as a team. And that's what I'm going to miss the most, to be honest with you, is that interaction and making sure we're all okay.
Doesn't matter where you go in the town, doesn't matter what event it is, you'll probably see someone who works in the same plant. Straight away you've got somebody that you actually know pretty well, or at least know their face.
It is when people work there for 35, 40 years.
Yes.
You kind of see, and your kids work there and your parents work there, and you know, that's what I see as well. A lot of, when you speak to somebody you don't know who they're related to, but it's certainly, you know, a lot of friendships and that kind of stuff through the years.
I think that's one of the advantages working here. You always know where you stand and the people here, which is good.
There's so many friendships have been formed. It's like a family in here. Most of my close friendships have started here and they'll continue for the rest of my life in here.
I was speaking to my mother on the phone the other day there, and she could actually tell me she was here the first day. She used to work down the Strand, and she transferred in on the first day that the plant opened. And she joined the company when she was about 18, and she had to leave when she was 21 when she got married, and she got a dowry.
I've always felt it's been good to me, and I've done a lot of things that I would never have done otherwise. You know, being all over the world and whatever. That's the way you look at it.
My mother was in here, she worked in the bottling lines, but she had to leave to have me back in 1968. At the time you got your dowry and you weren't allowed to stay here when you were married, so she had to leave. I had an uncle, which was Tom Swift. He was a supervisor in Bottling Hall 2 Wash House. My sister's in here. She was a material planner, she was a line planner. I've had cousins who have worked in the operating lines. Basically, don't talk about anybody in here to me because I'll be related to them somewhere along the line.
The people that's worked here in the past and presently, they're the heart and soul of this plant. It's the people that I'll remember, you know. And I'll probably get quite upset in that day, you know, thinking about the people that's passed through the gates over the years. So.
I joined the company because my father worked for Diageo, my sister works for Diageo, and my gran and my auntie all worked for Diageo, so I had a history there of how good a company it was to work for. So I actually joined the company at Waterloo Street in Glasgow, and then transferred here 6 years later on, and haven't regretted a minute.
I lost one of a couple of our colleagues just recently, not that long ago, and there's a big, down at the crematorium, it was standing room only. There were people outside and they always drive up by just because they worked here that long, just to show that, you know, we were thinking about them and show their families that they're not forgotten about, you know.
My sister-in-law worked for Johnnie Walker's as well years and years ago, and whenever I got the job for Johnnie Walker's, like, Pauline, you'll love it. So, and I do, I love it, I love my job.
That's been my second home. It literally has, you know. You don't give a third of your life basically to a place for 40 years and don't feel in with part of it or in with the bricks, and that's what I feel here. I really don't want to work anywhere else. This is where I've been coming here for, well, approaching 39 years now, and I still enjoy the work that I do.
I was a bit apprehensive when I moved down because it was a new site and it was a massive site compared to what I was used to and completely different from anything I'd ever done before. But everybody just pitched in, helped me out, and there's not anybody that I would be scared to go and ask a question of. So really great.
Anytime anybody's having a party, whether it's a 50th, a 60th, or they're getting married, the kind of camaraderie and the nights out and everything they do is just so powerful. Everyone just goes out and has a great time. It's one of the reasons I've stayed here so long, has just been the kind of culture, the friendliness of the people here, the welcoming of them, and just their sense of humour. It's just fantastic. You know, it's such a great place to work.
Yeah, I've been to, I've actually been invited to quite a few things, even though I've been here such a short space of time. So I've been to some long service celebrations and payoffs and general get-togethers and parties. So what struck me was it was really kind and generous of people to invite me along to those things because they hadn't known me for long, and it just kind of shows you how friendly the people on the site are.
We're the sisters. It got a bit competitive sometimes with the two years because my sister here worked here before I came in, and she left. I came into the company, but I was always Mrs. Johnnie Walker. For all maybe she had the experience and was years older than me, that didn't count. She could be right, but she was never right because I was Mrs. Johnnie Walker. I knew it all, and I'm still a bit like that yet, I've got to be honest.
You've always got somebody in here that you can speak to if you've got a problem, and you'd like to think you were somebody that somebody else could come to as well. You're never alone in a troubled time.
I remember the dowry stopping again. That would be when we got the equal rights. My dowry, I think at that time, what you had in your dowry got put in your pension, it got transferred into your pension. But I do remember a rush of brides when they were doing away with the dowry. There was a few people, some unclaimed treasures, dashed out to get their dowry that year.
We were all single, there were no married women.
So, and then
you had to leave,
you had to
didn't you?
leave if
Got a
you get
dowry,
married,
yeah.
you get a dowry.
It's a theory at the time, they didn't employ married women. If you're in the company, you got married, you got a dowry and get paid off kind of thing. And it was to try and keep single people in a job. That was always
School leavers.
School leavers.
I remember my mother talking about dowries, and I remember talking about payoffs and things, and I think that's where the word payoff originated from. And I myself had my payoff, a good old-fashioned Johnnie Walker payoff with the chanty and the hat and coat and everything.
Girls getting married and they had their hats
Aye.
with the flowers
Chanties.
and chanties.
It was only the men that got the dram, really. When I started, there was always a queue outside the dram shop. It was just another bit of the factory for where we are just now.
The drams was situated over a huge table, and you think of the workforce, men only, coming in for their dram at 12:30 and 4:30, and if you worked overtime you got another dram at 7:30, and even on a Saturday morning they got a dram at 12:30.
I was here when the girls were allowed to get a dram in 1979 because it used to be just the men that got a dram.
The guys always got a dram. And my uncle actually worked in a dram shop and they used to tell us some of the stories about it. And the girls at lunchtime says, you need to come for a dram. I said, oh, I don't drink. You'll need to learn to drink, you're going for a dram. And we stood in a queue and it was about, it was knee deep in the queue. Everybody was there, every woman in the site was there. You got half pint and a half, and I remember forcing it, really forcing it.
But that day when the girls were given the open door to get into the men couldn't get in.
The dramming at that time was in a glass that size. That is a sample of the glass that was used, and there was about 200 glasses set out on the table, and when Guy came to fill them, he put a pourer in the bottle and just turned it up and went right round them all, and he just wiped the table at the end of the day.
But when I went in, I couldn't believe it. All these girls standing with about 3 or 4 of these glasses in their hand. They didn't know they could only take one. Some of them were taking about half a dozen. And I think that's what stopped.
The drams was very popular, and when it stopped, there was a bit of an upcry.
You had to wear a skirt from March to October, and then you could wear your trousers in October to April because it was the winter time.
You couldn't wear trousers in the summer. You were only allowed to wear trousers from October to April, and you had to wear a skirt in the summer. Oh aye, oh aye, I loved my penny, I did. And you had 2 pennies, you had one a week, you just wore one a week. You had to go to the laundry and pick it up on a Monday. But when you started, you got they were white and they had green trim or maroon trim. And that was the week. You had a green week and a maroon week. You weren't allowed to hem them. And with me being wee, I had a hem that would have sunk a ship. You weren't allowed to cut them because the turnover of girls was huge. So you just get recycled pennies. Oh, I remember my penny. It was great.
When I first started, I wore the white with the burgundy, and that was my favourite out of them all.
And at that time, the laundry, they washed them for you. So you would have one all week, and then you would drop that off at the laundry and pick your other one up.
The Kilmarnock winning the cup day, that was a similar. I saw the photographs, I wasn't there, but the Kilmarnock team were up here and everybody dressed in the blue and white at Kilmarnock, and they had a great time.
The players come up to the restaurant to speak to everybody.
I think that shows the involvement in the community. Kilmarnock at that time obviously qualified for European games, and the European teams that they played against would come up for a visit. I think that demonstrates how famous Johnnie Walker is, the brand, and the referees and everything came up. I think they were getting toured.
I remember as well at Christmas time, friends of mine had market stalls and always used to bring things in here to sell at Christmas. So in the dispatch department we had a lot of different offices, and the first year was fine, but as time went on we get busier and busier, and everybody used to do their shopping down in the dispatch. So we had an office for snow globes, an office for bling and jewellery, and an office for general Christmas presents. And it was kept very hush-hush. To one year I heard, "Kirtland, do you think this is the Barras?" And my boss was standing in the doorway and I didn't know what to say, so I just said, "Would you like to buy something for your wife's Christmas?" I was promptly asked to remove all items, and that was the end of the Christmas shopping in the dispatch.
We've had amazing times here. Some of them I couldn't tell you about. Real good times. We've got some real good friends. We've had some great nights out, brilliant nights out. I mean, way back, your line was again like a community within a community, because the lines were like the Bangladesh Express. There was maybe 30 girls on your line. So you planned your nights out, you planned your fair, because the plant closed for the fair holidays, and you planned your fair night out, and then when you get back you planned your Christmas night out, and it was great, really great.
Last time Scotland got into the World Cup, I think the match was maybe about half three-ish, so the site decided, rather than everybody phoning in sick, if you wanted you could get a ticket, go to the reception hall, and it would be like going to the football. But there was conditions. The condition was that we had to decorate the lines and make it an event. So me being me, thinking out the box, great ideas. Fred Macaulay and Alan McCoist were travelling about France in a Citroen Dolly. So I decided, I'm coming to my work in a Citroen Dolly. So that's what my part's going to be. So I enlisted the help of my sister and some of her friends, and I got them to make me a tartan Citroen Dolly. So I had to get brought to my work that morning inside the back of a transit van, inside a Citroen Dolly. Managed to get me out the van, but I couldn't get in the gate. It was too big. Then eventually they had to open the site gate. I got in, so that was fine. And I hadn't told them what I was doing. Tried to get into the bond, I couldn't get in the door because it's in the door sharp right, and I was stuck, I was jammed. So you can imagine the faces when I walked in with a tartan Citroen Dolly with my head sticking out the sunroof, and that just kind of set the tone for the day. So we had a great laugh, we went up, Scotland scored the first goal. It was just absolutely mental, and it was great to celebrate something other than just the events that went on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis within the company.
The friendship, you couldn't get it anywhere else but Johnnie Walker's.
Cheers to Johnnie Walker.
Do you know what I would say? He was born in 1805, right? A dairy farmer's son. His dad died and the trustees set him up in business in 1820, and he was 15. That was the age I was when I started. He was 15 years old. See if he'd gone to Dragon's Den with his story, right? I'm a grocer and I blend tea and I'm going to make whisky. I'm going to use the same kind of idea and I'm going to make this whisky. They would have said, I'm out. There's no way they'd have believed that this man could have done what he's done. He died when he was 53, which is the same age I am now, right? And that man has built this business, this multinational business. And I'm just proud to have been a part of it.
I would say to him, cheers and thanks.
I would say it's been a pleasure to work for you and help you keep your name alive. I'll miss you. And I'm going to greet.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed working for you, and I hope you do continue to go on and go from strength to strength.
Oh, I've just had the best time. I've really had the best time. I've grown up, I've learnt a lot. I wish when I started I was the person I am today. I could have had a lot more fun. I'm more outgoing now than I was then, but everything I've got personally and in my life, I've learned in here. It's been a great place to work. Johnnie rocks, he's the man. He's the man.
Yeah, I think my message would be thanks very much, Johnnie, and I'll really, really miss you.
Born 1820, still going strong, and keep going. Keep going.